So this is gonna be an interesting review because I'll be talking about a genre which I don't really like, and that's horror. Seriously, I don't understand why people like it so much when most of them rely on jump scares. I want to enjoy it, but how can I enjoy it if I'm scared shitless? You wanna know how bad it is? I can't even finish Doki Doki Literature Club. And no matter what happens, I will never ever watch horror. Such a cheap, overused, boring genre with nothing interesting to give. Well, that was my opinion a few years ago, but then I learned about Junji Ito. I don't think I need to tell you about Junji Ito, one of the most iconic horror mangakas out there, and for some reason, I decided to watch some episodes from the anime adaptation of his stories. Yeah, I'm aware it's not a good adaptation, but from what I watched, I really enjoyed it. It was spooky and disturbing, yet it wasn't scary, and I found myself really getting into it. I wanted to know more about these stories, and there were no jump scares or loud bangs. Sure, a lot of people watch horror to get scared, but lately, I realised that what I want from horror is to feel uncomfortable, which is something the genre can do really well. But surely there has to be more than Junji Ito flying around. There must be something that can make me feel disturbed, but not scared. What the hell? So Dark Gathering is a horror anime by OLM, and honestly, I didn't know what to think. So from my research into the series, this is practically a brand new thing, as it is the first work by Kenichi Kondo as an artist and writer. The series was first published by Shueisha, is that right? Shueisha? And as of the moment, there are 13 volumes, but recently Viz has received the rights to publish English volumes, and the first two have already been released as of this video, possibly to coincide with the release of the anime. This would then be picked up by OLM, whose structure is pretty interesting, as there are different studios under the OLM name, usually named after different producers, so it's easier to find out who did who. So you may know of OLM's main work, like the original Berserk anime, and Pokemon. Of course, this was done by a different studio under the name, whereas Dark Gathering would be handled by OLM Masuda, named after Masuda, a producer from the ranks of MAPPA. It's really cool to learn how these studios are set up, and of course crediting in the anime industry is a huge nightmare due to how production is divvied up. I do hope I can get my head around this. So anyway, this is a new story from a new writer, and it includes some horror elements. I admit I am a bit skeptical, but surely there must be some other horror stories that I can enjoy other than Junji Ito, and if I'm willing to enjoy an isekai with a vending machine, I can handle this. Just give me a minute. Right, we're gonna leave the lights on because I am not gonna be watching this without the lights off, okay? I'm just gonna press play and nothing's bad gonna happen. So the first episode introduces us to Keitaro, a seemingly ordinary student who hides a dark secret. As it turns out that Keitaro can sense dead spirits, which frightens him to no end. So much so that he had shut himself up in his room due to a past incident. But thanks to his best friend and love interest, Eika, he's finally able to return to a normal life. However, this is soon short-lived as Eika introduces Keitaro to a cousin and suggests that he becomes her tutor. Stay away from me, creepy child. So he goes to her house and meets Yayoi Hazuki, and immediately he notices something off about her, as she has two pupils in both her eyes. And why is there a dark presence around her? Must have got it wrong. And so Keitaro's start of a normal life is put on hold as he follows Yayoi and Eika down a rabbit hole, facing spirits that scare him shitless. Well, this sounds interesting. I mean, I didn't know this was a horror anime, so I was taken off guard by the tone of the show. I figured it was your dark anime, but nope, it was much more chilling, but not scary. I didn't feel put off or nervous watching the show, but I did feel unsettled because you know something isn't right. Also, the series mixes in some light-hearted comedy, and you know how much I love that in my anime. You're a bit cute when you're not a scary girl, Yayoi. And it works here to lull the viewers into a false sense of security, so the average person isn't chased off when it gets dark. It understands that most people won't be down for the scary stuff, so it's like the anime is pulling its punches before it hits you with the real stuff. So anyway, the episode has the trio drive to a lone phone booth, which is said to be cursed by a spirit of a woman who will kill anyone who gets close. Of course there's a lady in a phone booth. Why does there always have to be a lady in a phone booth? But suffice to say, these spirits aren't to be scoffed at, as the world is filled with many twisted spirits that haunt numerous places, and some can even harm or kill humans if they feel like it. I mean, they're ghosts, right? They have no need for morals, so what's the harm in killing a few humans to satisfy your fantasies? Fortunately, there are those who are aware of these spirits, and some can even see them, such as Yayoi, who can see both the real world and the spirit world due to her two pupils, which had morphed together after a horrific accident, and Keitaro, who can't see them, but can sense them just as well. But if you think this show is about a group of friends exercising spirits, then you are sorely mistaken. I mean, I thought it would be that too, since I love stories when you have a spirit medium seeing all of these ghosts who roam the world, unable to pass on due to their unfinished business. The gifted person who can see them is able to help them pass on, which makes for a cathartic experience, knowing that they won't suffer any longer. But Dark Gathering isn't about letting those spirits pass. Oh no, no, no. Yayoi has something else planned for them. If you remember earlier, I mentioned that she was in an accident. Well, the accident that changed her was instigated by a powerful spirit that killed her father and kidnapped her mother's spirit. Because of this, Yayoi has vowed to destroy the spirit and save her mother, but she can't do it alone. She needs energy and power from other spirits to help her. So the child gets devious. Instead of destroying them, she takes them back to a room where other ghosts she captured linger, and with every new spirit she takes, she leaves them in the room to be torn apart by the other spirits, to the point where they can't even take it anymore and agree to become her slave. So Yayoi is like a general, keeping the troops in line, putting a bit of stick about, making them jump, all to achieve her ultimate goal. Didn't expect that. Oh! Why does my jaw keep hurting? Ugh. If I'm honest, this is pretty cruel and almost diabolical, but at the same time, many of the spirits she captured have killed humans before and won't blink twice to turn on their own if it means survival. But this is what I really like, because you're never 100% sure about anything with this anime, because Yayoi is unbelievably smart and the morality is incredibly grey. I honestly felt so uncomfortable with Yayoi, because I didn't know if I should trust anything she said, and it only added to my uneasiness with this show. I mean, she is one of the good guys in that she's using what she can to go after something much worse, but while she wants to destroy a monster, she's also willing to become one, and it begs the question, can she ever return to being a normal little girl? And it's not just her that makes me uneasy, as the characters that we follow are also a bit dodgy. Well, let's start with her cousin Eika, who seems like a lovely young woman who gets caught up in this mess because she's Keitaro's best friend. And at first you won't think much of her. She's just a girl trying to help out Keitaro with his issues. Nothing special, just a normal, ordinary... Okay, so maybe she's a bit crazy, but this does get explained as we learn that Keitaro had shut himself out because his actions had led to him and his best friend being cursed. That person was Eika, as she always trailed behind him, witnessing all the spooky stuff he could sense, and we learn she really gets off at this stuff. And by joining Yayoi's mission along with Keitaro, well, she's getting everything she wants. Now I hear that Eika fits the trope of a yandere, and I'm not too familiar with these types, but honestly, she doesn't seem too bad, since I figured yandere would be much more violent. And I'm aware of how unpopular yanderes are, because, well, they're toxic. But here, I feel like it works in this setting, as it adds to the idea that you need to be crazy to go down this road. But while Eika holds a twisted side, she is shown to be affectionate to Keitaro, but all of this is just a bonus to get her rocks off. And of course there's Keitaro. I mean, you feel bad for the poor guy, as in each episode, he seems to get himself into worse situations. But for now, his goal is to find the spirit that cursed him and his friend, and remove it so they can live a happy life like Mario and Princess Peach.
Like Mario and Princess Peach.
Here we go!
From what we know of these characters, it's pretty obvious that even if they want to, living a normal life is over for them. Even if Yayoi saves her mother, she will never get her back and she'll be cursed to see the ghost world forever. Eika is living the dream, and telling her to stop would be like telling a drug addict to stop. And Keitaro, can he really help Eika if she's down her own hole? Man, this is good. This anime really shows us how grey these people are. Each has their own motives and secrets, which will eventually lead to some form of confrontation in the long run. But I guess for now, we'll let these guys play in their own fantasies. I'm still not a fan of horror, but I do appreciate this show and I'm enjoying where it's been going so far. I'm glad to add another horror anime to my belt, and seeing that this series has 24 episodes, I'm in for a treat. So if you want to get your Halloween on, even though it ain't Halloween, then watch Dark Gathering because